All right, we're gonna. That was take two. I think you may have just seen me talking, but didn't hear me speaking. So we're gonna start it all over. Thank you. Thanks for your patience. It's great to see you all this morning. Welcome back. And I hope you had a wonderful summer. I hope you enjoyed time with your family, with your doing those things that you love to do, and enjoying time doing the things that you enjoy. I know a lot of you also helped with summer. We had a lot of summer programming running. And so I want to thank those of you who did that. This morning, what we're going to do is welcome back our learning community. The purpose of this is to welcome back our learning community. We decided to do this in a hybrid model because we also wanted to make sure that you all could be in your own learning communities, but we could also have a shared experience. We felt like it was important to give as much time to being in your school, to getting classrooms ready, to pulling your PLCs together, and to pulling together, and not to take a whole half day welcoming back. But we want this to be a really meaningful experience as well. So we want to welcome back our learning community this morning. We want to experience deeper learning. One of the objectives is to really experience a deeper learning experience through a youth-adult partnership that creates social and racial justice. So you're hearing from me. You'll keep hearing from me for a little bit. And then we'll do this deeper learning experience. And then I'll talk a little bit about our charge at the end. After I speak this morning, you're going to hear from BEA President Beth Fialco and School Board Chair Claire Wool. So off we go. So welcome back. You see the pictures here. We have a lot of great summer programming. You can see some of the walls going up to the ceiling at the high school, and new gym floors, the Racial Justice Academy that the Office of Equity led this summer, and some other great activities. There was a lot of offerings for our students this summer. We had an amazing year last year. I want to take a minute just to recognize the work that we did together last year. We got through a lot, and we persevered, and we overcame challenges and struggles, and we did it in a way that I'm incredibly proud of and humbled to be a part of, as your colleague and as your superintendent. I think we did it, and we accomplished what we accomplished through partnership. I deeply appreciated my relationship early on with Andrew Stiles and his leadership. I'm also very excited for Beth Fialco to take in that role, and we've been working together. So partnership is a really important piece of our work. Our students will do better when we are working together as adults, and I know that we are doing that, and we will keep doing that. But I wanted to really call that out. I also wanted to, and I've been saying this all summer, we have a lot of work to do to improve and to get better as a learning community. And we have so much amazing stuff happening in our schools. I was in DC public schools. We had 110 schools down there. In Providence, we have 44 schools. I have had the opportunity to visit schools all over the country. And our schools are among the best, honestly, that I have seen anywhere. As a father, as a parent in our district, and as a leader, I see committed staff. I see joyful classrooms. I see people, a community that is deeply engaged and wants to do right by our students and their families. And we have work to do, right? And that's part of being a good learning community is acknowledging that we have work to do and knowing that we will be able to do that in partnership. Big thing the big message I wanted to kind of lead with is that while we do have work to do to prepare for coming back in person as the Delta is surging, we also know that we can run schools safely. We did this all last year. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to take health and safety seriously. And I really want, and you'll spend time doing this in your schools as you're prepping over the next few days. But I really want us to focus on a joyful opening, an opening that's calm, that's welcoming, that's joyful, right? And we'll be wearing masks, but we'll be together. And so I really look forward to doing that. I'll be out in schools, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to get started and to welcome our community back together this year. Beth Fialco and I talked a little bit, have been talking over the summer, and we wanted to make sure that we recognize our retirees from last year. We have a number of really important members of our community over the years, some 30, 35, 40-year veterans who have put their career toward BHS, BSD, toward our students. And we are really excited that they have been able to give that to us, right? And so I wanted to spend time to recognize them here today. Beth and I have talked about making sure that we do something together this upcoming school year in person to really show our recognition. But I wanted to highlight these 30 individuals who gave such great service to our district and recognize them here. Woo! Oh yeah, that was rough. Okay, all right. Also wanted to recognize new leadership. So we have a number of moving pieces that over the summer we had a number of moving pieces that are stable and ready to roll now. We're super excited about the BHS leadership team. We have 3 new assistant principals. Kate Paxton, Francesca Dupuis, and Melanie Alexander are joining the team, and it's going to be a really great team. You all know, or many of you know, Francesca and her deep commitment to our district, and as a trusted colleague, as an amazing teacher. We're really excited about her role as an assistant principal and everyone on this team. LeVar Barino is going to be the 9th grade dean of students. That's a new and expanded role, and now a role that's a part of the leadership team. So you can see the leadership team at BHS in front of you. We're excited about that. Karan Pinckney is also going to be a part of the leadership team at BHS moving forward. So that's just great news, and looking forward to all the great things that they will do. We also have a new leader, a new assistant principal, Nikki Ellis from Chelsea, Mass. Nikki brings a lens of equity and learning. They were an assistant principal in Chelsea, and we're very excited to have them on board. Sabrina is also moved into the principalship at EMS, and we are excited about that role and their partnership together and their work. Lastly, we have some central office changes. So these are mostly positions that are they're not new positions, right? So we've done a little bit of restructuring and filled some positions where we've had turnover. And so I want to make sure that you see these names. You will hear from offices throughout the year about their structure. One important note is that Gail Botello and Jocelyn Fletcher-Schuth are going to be working in different capacities in the same, still in the teaching and learning department, but sort of expanded roles with Stephanie Phillips to make sure that we are really focusing on curriculum and instruction and teaching and learning. And then we also, I wanted to highlight Mika Moore, who's coming to us from University of Vermont, and she's going to be our restorative practices coordinator. And we're very excited to have her on board. Restorative practices will continue to be a critical strategy for us and a critical piece of part of how we do business. And so I wanted to point her out as well. Again, you'll hear more about these people, and you'll hear from offices moving forward. Our role as central office is a role of support, right? My expectation of our central office, of our district offices, is that we work in partnership with you at schools. We support our schools to be better, and that we work together as a community to become better. And so you should see, feel, and feel that shift from our district offices. Major updates. Health and safety is going to be a top priority this year. We're going to focus on masking, on staying home when sick, surveillance testing for students. We've signed up with the Agency of Education to do that, and continuing to offer vaccination clinics. You'll work more on the specifics of this work as you work with your faculty at schools this next couple of days. But safety and health is a primary focus for us, and we're going to make sure that we do it right. We did it right last year. It wasn't easy. I think this year will look and feel a little bit different, but we will still take this extremely seriously. We also have the BHS BTC site search. We are at 16 possible sites right now. We're going to our goal is to narrow down to a few, probably 2 or 3 by September. And so our goal is to get that that list narrowed down really quickly so that we can really dig in and understand what would be the best site for our new high school. And then the last major update is the strategic plan is starting the planning to the development of the strategic plan. We've developed a coalition of individuals from across our district and our city to help us form this. Empathy interviews are underway. Those empathy interviews help drive the strategic plan and what will end up coming out of the strategic plan, what our goals will be. And so those are really important. If you're interested in participating in empathy interviews in that process, please reach out to Victor Prusak. Those are happening right now. And lastly, before I pass it over, I wanted just to highlight that as we build our new strategic plan, we also set 6 goals last summer. And as a leadership team in the district, including all of your principals, all of our principals, and all of our directors and executive directors in the district, we came back to these goals. About every month, we visited one of these goals and tracked where we were. And so I think what you'll see is that some of these goals will show up as we head into the strategic plan. These are some goal areas that we know we've cared about for a long time. We will continue to care about. But so we'll start with these goals as we begin this school year for our district level goals, and we will adjust and adapt as the strategic plan is developed. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to BEA President Beth Fialco.
Thank you. To start, I just want to say, if I say your name, if you could stand up at your locations and to receive some well-earned applause, that would be excellent. So today I am psyched to celebrate that the paraeducators ratified their contract. And on Tuesday, the school board approved it. This is after almost 2 years of negotiating. And I want to give a shout out to the folks that did the heavy lifting for our paraeducators: Mike Leonard, Ann McKay, Kelly Bordeaux, and Janet Stewart. I can hear the applause. As we all know, paraeducators are invaluable, and I want to thank this school board for beginning to honor their value with this contract. There is work to be done, and this is the team to do it. So to our paraeducators, especially our new paraeducators, please be sure to find and thank our BEA folks that made it happen. And to our new teachers, welcome. You want to find and hug Dan Hagan, Erinka Gayuk, and Laura Body, and also our former BEA president, Andrew Stiles. This is the team that will be negotiating your present contract, because our contract expires in minutes. Have no fear, they always get it done. I would be remiss if I did not pause to honor the tenaciousness of JP Gagnon, our former BEA grievance chair who just retired. Leslie St. Pierre at Hunt as well has stepped up and taken on this role with strength and grace. Thank you, Leslie. Also, we owe our gratitude to Marcel Gerard, our longtime treasurer, who went ahead and started a family without our permission. Congrats, Marcel, and thank you. Please welcome Jana Fabry as our new treasurer. And of course, let's give a cheer to Andrew Stiles, Ann McKay, and Betsy Nolan, who have carried us all for these last 3 to 5 years. Andrew LaValle will be our new communications chair. And finally, thank you, Kate Healy. You are the remaining officer, and you are holding us together as we all learn our new roles. If our building representatives could please stand to be recognized and appreciated. Let me give you a moment to give them some shout outs. Great. I was happy to crash the festive new teacher events and thrilled to welcome many of you to our union, or as I like to think of it, our professional guild. I am Beth Fialco Casey, and I have been teaching English for 100 years. Just kidding, it feels like it. 15 years at BHS. Today, I want to share with you some thoughts about our profession and what union work, and it is work, means to me. Navigating the pandemic was surreal and scary for all of us. But the union work that went into informing COVID policy within BSD and at the state and national level took hundreds and hundreds of hours of collective action, much of it by volunteers. So thank you sincerely and deeply to Becca McCrae, Betsy, Ann, and Andrew, and our friends at Vermont and EA for giving us voice and keeping us safe. Giving voice and power to us, the folks that get our hands dirty every day, is what union work means to me. And last year, as we pivoted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 times, we were often anxious, fearful, and sometimes even angry. Yet we buried those worries and we showed up on camera or in the classroom. Teachers across the country worked in unthinkable conditions and made it happen. I ask you to acknowledge that we were able to do that work here because the BEA showed up for us. In taking on the role of your president, I ask you to remember that the BEA is not a them, it is us. And much to our chagrin sometimes, the district is not a them. It is just people doing the best they can. So let's move away from assumptions, particularly acting on assumptions, and give each other a chance because we've earned that chance. I am aware of how many of you just closed your minds and rolled your eyes at me for suggesting that we try again and that we work with hope. I cannot blame you. I served in the trenches with you, and for sure we are battle tested, but I am going to suggest that we abandon the metaphor of war. To that end, I'm not a fan of jargon. Jargon is dangerous because it wears us down. I know we can all make a list of all the trends, fads, names, renaming of all the things we have done in the classroom for years. On Monday, a friend, colleague, and BEA member reminded me, well, said to me, Beth, you're not cynical. You're one of the most hopeful people I know. I was sort of surprised by this because our job is hard. And when I have to meet another trend with a pile of essays to grade or a lab to prepare or a new learning management system to navigate, I don't feel hopeful and I don't feel ready. I feel tired and angry because I signed up to teach. But I think what she meant is that when I have to meet something because it is a requirement of my profession, even if I bitch and moan when I walk in the room, I really do spend my time fully engaging. So I can be sure that when I critique it later, and we can be sure I will, I wasn't the damage done to that moment. That I was not what undermined its success, that I wasn't closed-minded and cynical, that I did not ruin opportunities for my colleagues and for my students to be better. So that's hard to do after 5, 10, 15, 40 years of work, but I am going to do it. I'm going to try again. I'm being really honest here. And I feel vulnerable saying this as the BEA president, but we need to meet this moment in our history honestly. And we can't meet anything honestly when we greet it with cynicism and assumption. We can do this, people. We can lean in and try once again, or try for the first time, to greet this moment, the first day of school, whatever jargon it brings, with generosity, forgiveness, and goodwill. And while many of us search for this goodwill, I want to remind you that you can engage openly, safely, and without assumption because your BEA colleagues, the volunteers in your schools, have your back. So let's do it better than we've ever done it. Hold on to what is good. Thank you. Next, it is my pleasure to introduce the divine Miss Claire Wool, a stalwart advocate for Burlington children and families and the present chair of our school board. Claire.
Thank you very much, Beth. Good morning. As chair of the Burlington School Board and as a volunteer civic leader and grateful parent of a current student and former and recent graduate of the Burlington Public Schools, I want to thank you. Thank you to all our returning faculty and staff for your teamwork last year, and know that your Herculean and dedicated efforts to safely support and serve our community was essential to our district and city well-being. To our new hires, thank you for applying, interviewing, and accepting your positions within our school communities. We look forward to collaborating and working with you to witness your talent and together be successful in educating our Burlington toddlers, elementary children, middle school adolescents, and maturing young adults at our high school. I also want to thank you, your families, your partners, your significant others, your family pet or pets, those that surround you in your daily life, I believe are a source of your strength, and their support enables you to be your best self. Your family recognizes that you have chosen a profession and a professional workplace that truly develops and nurtures human life. Life on Earth, life here in Vermont, life here in the city of Burlington is made up of the next generation, and our public schools, your classrooms, is where we all learn together, care for one another, listen to one another, inspire, and role model. Thank you for choosing a career where you give of yourself. The late pro tennis player Arthur Ashe once said, "From what we get, we can make a living. From what we give, however, makes a life." As a volunteer middle school tennis coach, I have taught some of your former, your current, and your future students. It provides an opportunity after my workday and throughout the summer to connect and experience what it feels like to teach an accessible, lifetime sport to all our students at Roosevelt Park, at the Boys and Girls Club, where I'm lucky when I get the support of Jake Agna, who teaches in our elementary and middle school PE classes for kids on the ball. I learned when I was young and continue to teach along with Jake, the most important shot at this young age is the first shot. Why? It gets you in the game. Next week, as you, we, us, welcome all our students at each of our dynamic school communities, each student will be experiencing their first shot at pre-K, 3rd grade, 7th grade, 9th grade, and BHS seniors for their final year of formal education. What will their experience be with you as they make their first shot, their first hello to you, the first time they raise their hand to answer a question in your class, ask you for advice? I can assure you the impact you have on all our students is immeasurable, and their social and emotional state and well-being is looking for love. I know this because that is what we all need to grow, as it affords us the ability to succeed in cultivating our confidence to learn. It was inspiring to listen to our BHS 2021 graduates and elected class faculty speaker, Dan Hagan, speak of love of community, love of learning, and love of our unique Burlington Public Schools during a time in our lives in which we are all confronted with a lot of stuff. So thank you in advance for the time and effort you will give to welcome with open arms our fragile young students and their supportive families. Know that you are key influential figures, rock stars, superheroes, role models in their daily lives. Students spend the largest part of their day with you. And like I shared, your influence creates memories of a lifetime and informally and formally impacts and develops the human experience. In tennis, you start the score at love. I believe in teaching you do as well. Thank you again for your talent and love of teaching. And as I shared, the vital role of our public school serves serves is creating a just society that impacts all our lives and future generations here on Earth. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, School Board Chair Claire Wool, BEA President Beth Fialco. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, next up, we're gonna get to work. All right, we ready? We're gonna experience deeper learning right now. And to the point that Beth made earlier, that deeper learning is not something new. 20 some years ago, I was a first year teacher or an intern teacher in a classroom where the teacher that I was learning from, apprenticing with, was practicing all the practices that they talk about in deeper learning. So this just kind of gives language to some practices that I really want us to focus on, and that we are going to focus on collectively as a district. So I want to really welcome Virginia, Esther, Victoria, Naj, and Lily, students from the Racial Justice Academy, and Virginia helped lead the Racial Justice Academy with Autumn Bangora, and under the leadership of Director Sparks of the Office of Equity. This was a really impactful experience for students, for our leadership team. All of our principals and leadership team went through the same type of activity last week, and we found it really powerful. So I'm excited to open up with a student-led experience where we can sort of dig into the work that we need to do together. Thank you.
Welcome to the district kickoff for the 2021 to 2020 school year. We are students from the Summer Racial Justice Academy, and today we have a couple activities to help you put in the role of a student and help explore recommendations from the Summer Racial Justice Academy for how to make Burlington School District a more equitable place. Hi, my name is Esther Lacosi, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm a rising 8th grader at Edmonds Middle School.
Hi, my name is Victoria Torwini. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a rising 8th grader at Edmonds Middle School.
Hi, my name is Lily Bisa. I'm a rising 10th grader at BHS and I use she, her
Hi, I am Najd. I am a rising senior at BHS and I use she and her pronouns.
My name is Virginia. I'm a youth and family restorative liaison and I work at both Hunt and Edmonds Middle Schools.
We're going to do an activity to help you connect to the emotional impact of a youth-adult partnership by drawing upon your own life experiences. During this activity, you will be asked to recall a few personal stories, and you will be asked to turn and talk with someone close to you and share in whatever level of detail is comfortable for you. So I want you all to think of a time when some decision was being made that would directly impact you, but you were not asked for input. You knew you had important information to share about this decision, but there was no opportunity for you to contribute. You knew this would result in an action that was being done to or for you, but definitely not with you. Spend a moment thinking about this incident, recalling it as vividly as possible. Turn and talk with the person next to you, and you will each have 1 minute to share your stories and feelings that were provoked. As we share these stories, please share the details and the feelings of the stories and leave out names. We want to be respectful of the fact that we all work together. You can go ahead and turn and talk to your neighbor now.
Principals, if you would go ahead and bring your staff back together so we can move into the next section, please.
Now think of a time when a decision was being made that would directly impact you and put your input actively solicited. You knew you had important information to contribute to this decision. You knew that result and the action that was being done with you than rather to you or for you. Spend a moment to think about this incident. Recall it as vividly as possible. Turn and talk with the person next to you and each will have a minute to share your story and the feelings that provoked.
Can I get a picture? Do you mind?
Yes.
Can I
Make
tweet
sure
it?
you
Do
get
you
it
mind if
from
I,
a
do you mind if I
good
tweet it?
Principals, if you would go ahead and bring your staffs back together so we can move into the next portion.
I can't see how impressed this is.
We need a little help from principals in each building to help us collect the responses for the next two sections. You can use chart paper, a whiteboard, or whatever you have available. Divide the chart paper down the middle. Ask each person in the room to offer one of their reflections about the feelings provoked when they did not have a role in the decision-making process. Redundancy is fine. Write these feelings down on the left-hand column. Then ask each person in the room to offer one of their reflections about the feelings provoked when they did have a role in the decision-making process and they were a partner in that process. Again, redundancy is fine. Write these down in the right-hand column of the paper and allow a silent minute to process the chart paper summary. You will have 7 to 10 minutes to do this.
I would just like to point out BHS, you have slightly different instructions. And so I'm going to need you to look to Lauren for those instructions right now. And we will call everyone back together in 10 minutes. Hello, friends. If we could come back together. Principals, if you could wrap up. It's okay if you haven't gotten a response from everyone in the room, as long as you have some feelings on both sides of the column there for your staff to look at. This is at the heart of why partnership between youth and adults, provoking those feelings on that right-hand column, when you know that your voice matters, it allows people to be their best self, to live in their full potential. Our job is to continually create the context that allows this to happen. The human desire to feel valued and have a sense that they matter in the world is universal and cross-generational. It is the essence of why youth-adult partnership and restorative practices paradigm shift is so powerful and so needed. For this next section, we are going to move into watching two videos that came from the Summer Racial Justice Academy. As you watch these videos, I encourage you to lean into any discomfort you might experience. Growth occurs on our learning edges. As we think about moving from a white supremacist culture to an anti-racist and restorative culture in our district, it's going to be uncomfortable. These students are leaning into vulnerability to bring you these messages today. If anything you hear pushes you from discomfort into defensiveness, please know that defensiveness is a normal part of disrupting white supremacy culture. Lean into it. That's how we move through it. I'm now gonna turn it over to Russ to bring up a couple of videos for us.
Dear teachers,
Dear teachers, one bad day should not ruin the year.
understand culture differences. Educate each other.
Dear teachers,
Everyone learns at their own pace.
Be better with discipline. Don't kick us out the classroom.
dear teachers,
Respect is not given, it's earned. Understand we go through tough times too. Show us you want to be here and what we say. Dear teachers, my skin color does not define me. I'm more than my hijab.
don't tug behind our back.
Respect goes both ways. Dear teachers, it doesn't matter how long you work, you can still learn. Dear teachers, establish better communication.
Dear teachers,
Stop suspending students if you want them to learn.
Dear teachers, it is your job to care.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of them are very like slightly, but you can pick up on them because they grows over time.
Yep, a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot. And
Yeah. We have a lot.
there's a lot. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
There is racism in my school. There's racism within the education system and all of that.
I don't think so. They're not doing enough. Like, even if we talk about it, to them it's just like, okay, like they just brush it off. And I feel like that's not enough. They can definitely do more. We can do better.
No. Not at all. No. Not at all.
They're not doing a good job. No.
No.
No. No.
Hell no.
Not at all.
Not at all. No.
No.
No. I feel like the administration could do more about it. I feel like a lot of students of color voices are dismissed and heard, especially when there's fights or when it comes to suspending students, their stories and stuff are often not listened to.
I know that our school is trying to incorporate more restorative practice circles. I noticed more like restorative practice circles happening with students and teachers. Mostly like when the student does something wrong, I guess, but I don't see much resolution when it's a teacher offending other students. So I would like to see more action with that.
Now we're going to move into some of the recommendations from the Summer Racial Justice Academy. And these come from all the discussions we've had over the 5 weeks there and a number of capstone projects that we did at the end. So our first one is revamp discipline processes within our schools to produce equitable outcomes. This means analyzing and limiting the students teachers are kicking out of class and eliminating suspension as a standard form of discipline, because we shouldn't be putting barriers between students and their education. And we know that these systems of discipline funnel students into the school to prison pipeline. We also want more students in charge of disciplinary action. And one of our suggestions was creating a restorative student panel at the school to allow students to participate and have influence over disciplinary action. Our second one was overhaul the student handbook. And this looks like revising the existing handbook we have and making it more accessible and giving students a copy at the beginning of the school year, because we noticed at the Racial Justice Academy that most of the students there did not even know we had a handbook there, and making it more like understandable and using clear language and clearly presenting it on the website and making it shorter, because our target audience is high school students and it needs to be accessible for them. We also want to re-examine like the dress code policy, because we've noticed that like a lot of the stuff that students are still getting dress coded for is not actually in the policy. And it doesn't seem like everyone is informed about the updated policies and that teachers are able to like make judgments for themselves about what they consider is appropriate. And we need to like think about how we can keep the updated policy from disproportionately impacting students of color, and like how we can collect data on how this is affecting our community.
The third one I have is hold Burlington School District accountable for high quality teaching and learning education. We demand teachers to unpack their biases and practice having conversation about race and racism with each other before talking to students about it and teaching it. Students should experience to have the loop being closed. Especially when teachers have the courage to report teachers or staff members, they deserve a follow-up. And also for the curriculum, students deserve to be informed about who is responsible, who is being represented, what materials are we using and why. How are teachers trained to deliver the curriculum around race and racism, and how is the N-word being used?
Our fourth recommendation is to clarify and limit the role of law enforcement and police within our schools. And this means like clarifying what police can be called in for in the updated student handbook, and figuring out what needs to happen to get a new MOU in place with the Burlington Police Department, because we know that even though the SRO position was eliminated recently, that we still have like a relationship with law enforcement, and we're still able to call them in on students. And also limiting what students can be searched for, because we can't really have an environment of trust between adults and youth if like students can still be searched. And keeping like data on what law enforcement is called in for and the outcome of that, because we know that previously we did not have any data or reports on that. And we weren't able to like make decisions surrounding the data.
And ensure BIPOC students have BIPOC classmates, especially when the topic of race and racism is being brought up into classrooms. And also data have shown that we have over 40% of youth of color in our district. So there's no reason for them to be by themselves in the classroom. And we just need more diversity in each classroom. To the sixth one is also hire and support BIPOC teachers and staff members. We need more teachers of color and BIPOC teachers. Also, we need the applications to be more navigatable for BIPOC teachers and staff members. Also, they need more support, and this goes both ways. If we want to hire more BIPOC teachers, we also need to provide them the support that's needed.
And also we want to create pathways in our community for youth and adults from like our communities to become staff and like teachers and paraeducators and hold like positions of power in our district.
And also for the seventh one is keep our support system safe for students. This is also for the police and law enforcement, is that in the student handbook and so many guidelines we have that students, police that needs to be involved in situations that it's not necessary for them to be involved. Also, don't weaponize using parents for don't threaten students to call their parents and everything. We can always talk it out and just resolve the issue without having parents to be involved. And even if they are involved, use them as a support system, not a threat.
And since we currently don't have like enough adults of color who can do this work, we recommend like establishing a peer support network for youth of color to have support within like their schools. And our last one is believe the experiences and perspectives of students and youth. And this looks like giving students agency over themselves in their education, because right now student voice isn't enough if it's not being listened to or acted on, and students deserve like power and choice in their education and within themselves. And one way this could happen is increasing compensated opportunities for youth in our community and district. And in a larger scale, dismantling the power dynamic and structure between adults and youth in the district and in our schools.
Thank you, so we are going to move into circles. Please look to your principals to divide you up. We're going to go into a processing circle, and the principals should have all the materials that you need. We do need to be back at 10:10. So please make sure you are back in front of the screen in this seat at 10:10 so that we can move on to Tom's next section. Thank you.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I hope you're all settled in. I know we're headed back and trying to negotiate this over 12 campuses. Hopefully we're lined up as we come back together. I want to close us out and really thank our students from the Racial Justice Academy, Virginia, who's a close and trusted partner, also is going to be working at Edmonds and Hunt this upcoming school year, and the Office of Equity for their leadership in this work. This is the work of dismantling systemic racism and a white supremacy culture. We need to be honest about that, open about that, and in on that. And if you don't want to be in on that, I don't think this is the right place to work. So it's really important that we come together collectively as a community on this work together. And we can. I had the most amazing circle a second ago, led by Esther, with a number of committed and dedicated staff from BHS who are just all in on listening to students and making change. I want to also highlight that a white supremacy culture, we're talking about racial justice and also social justice, right? A white supremacy culture impacts students of color and adults of color most, right? It also impacts our LGBTQIA students and adults who identify as LGBTQIA+, our students with special education needs, our students with 504s, our students who are learning English, our students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. There's intersectionality among those groups in a lot of cases too, right? So we need to think about this specifically as racial justice and as social justice. And I think it's really core to our work. So I want us to think about this from the perspective of equity, engagement, and deep learning. Principles that I heard really clearly when I was doing my listening tour last March that are very deeply ingrained in our community. And I think that those start with a belief that all of our students will achieve, right? If we believe that, then they will. If we don't believe that, they won't, right? And that starts with relationships. We have to build relationships together. I have to build relationships with you, our district offices and our teachers and our paraeducators and our support staff need to build relationships together. We need to be intentional about that. And we need to build relationships with our students, all of us collectively. This is not about blame. This is not about trying to do things, not that we haven't done the work. We have done the work and we're continuing along with the work that we've started. And I believe that we can do it together if we do it in a culture of collaboration, support, and growth. I really want us to focus, they're not seeing the slideshow, are they? That's okay, don't worry about it. So I really want us to focus on the instructional core this year. One of the things that came out in the recommendations is that our students really want us to think about what teaching and learning looks like, right? So when I'm talking about deeper learning, that just puts a language to ways of teaching that are challenging, empowering, and engaging for students. It's not magic. It's not a gimmick. It's not something that's brand new, right? It's about the instructional core, the connection between students, teachers, and the content. And in the middle of, with teachers, it is really teachers and it's anyone facilitating learning. In the middle of the instructional core where you have students, teachers, and content, you have the task, the thing that students are doing. What are they reading, writing, and talking about every day, right? As we think about deeper learning, and I'm just putting ideas out there for us to continue to think about together, that task should be challenging, engaging, and empowering. And those are three core principles of deeper learning. And so I really want us to think about that. I've asked our principals to spend time, really dedicated and intentional time, to tending to the instructional core, to being in classrooms, observing, giving feedback, co-teaching, co-planning, right? Being in the instructional core with you. So we are doing this work together in partnership, and I'll be in the rooms with you. So lastly, I'm going to leave us with a quote. And I think it's timely because the quote speaks to the trap, right, of working with students who we perceive to be behind grade level by remediating, right? One of the core concepts of deeper learning as it relates to engagement and empowerment right, and challenge is that we actually challenge our students more than we may think that we can. One of the traps is we know students missed school last year, missed some school, they fell behind is the word, right? And we remediate. There's actually a couple studies that came out this summer that remediation just perpetuates underperformance and doesn't allow us to bring students up to the levels that we know that they can achieve, right? So this idea that if you accelerate students' learning, that they will move up to how you accelerate their learning. And so this is a quote from a person named Jal Mehta. And so he's from the Harvard Graduate School of Education, and we're a part of the Deeper Learning Dozen as a district, and he has been leading this work. We've been a part of this cohort of districts across the country, across North America for the past 4 years, and Jal has led us in that work, and we're really trying to bring it in with Jocelyn's leadership into the work we're doing as a district as a whole. And so the quote that I'm going to end with is following. There is also the fact that the basics first approach also tends to reproduce inequalities in schools. This line of thinking tends to foreground students' deficits over their assets. For disadvantaged and lower track students, it serves to justify teaching as transmission and what Freire called the banking model of education. Writ large, this line of thinking is a powerful force for social reproduction. No matter how well-intentioned it is, the result in practice is that, yet again, the most privileged students are being taught how to think, whereas the less advantaged students, who are often students of color, are being taught how to follow the direction of authorities. Research suggests this divide starts as early as kindergarten and continues through high school. So let's build on our students' assets. Let's accelerate their learning. Let's believe in them and build relationships with them and build relationships with each other. I believe in us as a community. I believe in our teachers. I believe in our staff. I believe in our leadership. We have strong, strong people here. And I know we can do this and that we will do this together. So thank you for this morning. That was a deeper learning experience. Again, nothing new, right? It's just good teaching and learning. Quick shout out. I want to thank Russ Ellick, Bonnie Ryder, who helped us get this all set up, Director Sparks in the Office of Equity for taking the lead over the summer and bringing that deeper learning lens into what we did this morning to get us kicked off. We're going to have a great year. I'll be out at schools visiting over the next couple of days and in the beginning of school, and I look forward to seeing you all. Thank you.